Surprise! Is it spring? When is it spring? It's too cold. April showers, I suppose. It better be climate warming when summer finally does arrive. Greetings, everybody. No need to be alarmed or anything. It's just a ramble this evening. I do have some particular interesting topics. I know I keep saying I'm always working on writing articles and things, and the book is never. It's like the never-ending story. One day. But I am working on something which was a new idea, a new concept, and it's got me kind of excited a little bit. I thought, ooh, this would be nice to discuss and share. It might not kind of like necessarily blow discussions apart, but it might, and I don't expect it to make any significant difference in the grander scheme of things. Just a food for thought. But when you talk about like at the end of the day or the bottom line or get on with things, that kind of rubber meets the road, those sort of sentiments, makes you realize that people touch on it every so often. They'll touch on ideas like drama or sorry, let me just turn down the volume on my kid's monitor. That is something I want to get rid of at some point soon so that she can have a proper sense of privacy. She's had a baby monitor for far too long. But yeah, so people touch on drama and spheres, communities, identity groups, and maybe it's just me personally with my perspective, but and my preference of sort of a level of dissociation where I don't really want to make any carved in stone commitments. Excuse me, I seem to be a bit, I don't know, indigestion or something. So I always find it's like the sentiment of, or the thing I like to say every now and again of like, who we are, we're yet to know. So here I am questioning everyone's identity. Like, do you have a sense of self? Do you really know, like truly? And I myself am probably the least certain. I'm always questioning, like, who the hell do I think I am? In fact, that was actually going to be the title of yeah. So previously on Billy the Goat, we were talking about, are you out of your mind? And that seemed to be from the feedback I was receiving, people kind of enjoyed that stream and enjoyed the sort of the concept of the title. So I was going to carry that over with a follow-up stream of who the hell do you think you are? So this exploration of identity, not group identity, not communal based identity, but actually like you and like not even you and me, just like you to yourself, a very private and personal exploration of just who the hell do we think we really are, and why. Maybe it might not be important for certain people, but it's something I'm always trying to refine and question. And so, in the process of with the use of nihilism, I take the attitude of stripping away the fluff and excess, and trying to reach a core, solidified, unnegotiable definition, if you say, of my sense of self. So that's why I always find it hard to be a bit committed to any sort of political leaning or ideology or community as such. And as shown to me from personal experience, these things waver over time. Things change. People, your relationships change. People once were your friends, now they're not. People are family members, now they're not. People you didn't expect to be friends suddenly are maybe some of the most trustworthy and respectable people you could ever come across, and you would never have dreamed of seeing them eye to eye. So life has its way of quirks and surprises, which I like to take as opportunities to make us think twice. Who sung that song, "Baby Think Twice"? Is that Celine Dion? Oh, I've been exposed. So yeah, it's good to see everyone here. Mr. Hemi, JR, Silver Bullet, RP Pope. I hope everyone's doing well and taking care of what needs to be taken care of. So I've kind of already divulged a bit too much information. So I'm working basically on a piece that is going to hopefully strip away some of this kerfuffle, this unnecessary tit for tat dialogue that people hold so dear, so precious. It's so crucial to them that they get these points. They're screaming, "You must hear and believe these points," and I wonder, and like, what difference does it really make? You could take any example really, and when you strip it down to like the basics, the core, the rock bottom underpinning sort of actions or consequence, it's sort of like, and what's that got to do with me exactly? I mean, even if I don't like what I see, how does that really affect what I'm doing? And I particularly look at people like the woke, for an example here, how oppressed, how, according to their rhetoric, they're suffering, apparently. I mean, isn't it obvious? Apparently these minority groups or whatever they want to identify, they're suffering like no one's ever suffered before. Yet they're able to do all the things that you and I are able to do if they were so inclined. I mean, there's nothing really actually stopping them, is there? Apart from their own sense of oppression. Like, are any of you actually stopping them? No, not really. Is anyone really preventing them? No. So it's a conjuring up of boogeymen, false ghosts, or whatever apparent spirits that somehow is keeping them captive, denying them reaching their full potential. But who is to blame? They blame toxic masculinity. How is that exactly stopping them achieving what it is they want to achieve? It's not. So this is why I kind of, when I hear these arguments, after a while, I start thinking to myself, this is a load of baloney. Like, especially if it's a dialogue that's been going on for hours on end or weeks on end, or a campaign that's been running for months. It's sort of like, hang on, are we still going in circular conversations, not really getting anywhere, still trying to convince me that there's some sort of problem here when there isn't? It's sort of it's, well, I have my suspicions, shall we say, with the psychological background. I have a feeling I kind of in the direction of what's really playing out, which is ulterior motives that need to be kept hidden. They cannot be revealed. So we need a straw man type figure enabled to enact in an indirect way what it is we're trying to achieve. So these groups use a prop, these talking argument points like oppression, when really they're after something else. And in that case, something like control, for instance. Now, they can't overtly express that we just want to dominate you and want to enslave you. So we have to kind of make it all whimsical and beat about the bush, the puniti bush, as it were, the bush of fire. Isn't that the bush? Isn't that the bush of truth, the bush of fire? I don't know. I need someone with a religious background to help me out there. But yeah, so their muffs are on flames, and somehow that's my fault. I'm supposed to put that out. I mean, what is it you want from me? And so this is why when it comes to that point about, look, at the end of the day, you owe them nothing. You don't owe anyone anything, really. I mean, if you do, then pay your dues, obviously, of course. But in a large proportion of cases, they try to make you believe that you owe them through guilt, for example. Feel sorry for me, give me some sympathy. Sympathy is a form of guilt, or at times it can be. So they leverage your emotions against you in order to fool you. Now, if you are able to have your wherewithals and realize, hang on, I am being lulled here, I'm being swept off my feet, or I'm being taken for a ride, that kind of realization, then you can start to disengage and realize, then you'll be able to start to see the true intention. Like, what is it you're really after? Because if what you're saying is true, and all these are, and here we are discussing for entertainment's sake what it is you want to discuss, then why is it we're not reaching any resolution? Well, the reason why we're not reaching any resolution is because we're not reaching what it is they truly want. So continuing will forever circulate. It will forever never go anywhere, because it never was intended to go anywhere. It wasn't the real objective. The real objective is trying, for them, is they're trying to achieve it by other means. In a way, they're hoping by pot luck you'll accidentally hand over what it is they're truly after, and you won't realize it. There you will be thinking that you're addressing the superficial arguments and conversation at hand, whilst really you're handing over the deeds to your property, or your keys to your house, or something like that. And so it's important, obviously, to take things slowly, to watch out when you're getting sucked in, so that you can have this kind of like, hang on, what is actually taking place here? What is transpiring here? All is not what it seems. And that's kind of a sad state of affairs when it comes to the evolution of humanity, that we've evolved in such a way not to be a socially cohesive society. Instead, we've evolved in a way to be as cunning and deceitful as possible, to maximize our sort of returns, or to maximize our extraction of other people. Basically, we've evolved to be highly selfish individuals under the guise of being socially altruistic. What a kind of mockery of humanity, at least in my opinion. We have some other people. We have some other. Pull out some chairs, boys. So we've got Bullets here, Shadrach here. Great to see you guys. Chaos here, Red Pill in the Wind. Great to see you as well. And Iridium's here. Good to see you, sir. Yeah. Oh, you like the avatar, do you? Yeah. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? I should really put the Mario Brothers avatar. So just as a little touch back. I feel like it's been a while since I streamed last. Yes, Red Pill in the Wind. Pretty much. I don't know. I think to de-evolve might not be too bad, but we've mutated. We've become so corrupt as a species that it's diabolical. It's to devolve would almost be kind of quaint. It'd be like, oh, you really are a fluffy little lamb now. Okay, you go dance in the grass or whatever. Go be one with nature. I can tolerate someone like that. I mean, they might not be intellectually whatever, but c'est la vie. At least they're not trying to backstab one another and exploit and manipulate and take advantage and abuse and oppress and all the rest of it. So what humanity is becoming, not only is it fragmented, not only is there a schism, not only have we got high levels of delusional thinking, not only is mental health down the pan, not only all, the list goes on and on and on, but as a substitute, as a set of morals to be overlaid upon this, is this devious, devilish kind of cynicism that it's hard not to call it evil. Now, I don't like using language like that, like evil. When people say, "Oh, my ex was a demon" or whatever, and here I am the empath angel. This is being more than human. This is exaggerated language. This is emotional language. When you hear, this is just my opinion, take it as you will, but when you hear someone hyperinflating concepts to be more than human, as in this person is the devil, they are evil, they are Satan personified, they are, or the opposite end, they are an angel, they are angelic, they are godlike, they are a saint, they are virtuous, they are whatever. That's another sort of sign to me that is where things are sad, where there's a discontent, where people are so uncomfortable with the idea of you mean just human, as if like, is that all? It's like, well, yeah, what's wrong with that? It's like, oh, that's not good enough, is it? I mean, that's so demeaning of you to say, almost. It's like, no, and that's like, there's nothing wrong with how you identify yourself as simply as a man. It's a very short, tight word. What's wrong with that? Quite often people have to bolt on accessories. Oh no, I'm not just a man. I'm a hyper man. I'm an alpha man or something like that. I'm a superman. It's like, get the hell out of here with that. I can still kick you in the balls just like any other man, right? Right. So there we are. Unless you've got balls of steel, so, prick us. Do we not all bleed or whatever? So language and ideas, how thoughts are constructed, I find very intriguing, because they say a lot about a person. They say a lot about their emotional state as well. So interesting stuff. Anyway, I got sidetracked. Where were we going? Talking about Mario. Yeah. So since the last stream, so yeah. Oh yeah, we're playing with. So I think to say humans are devolving would be letting them off the hook for their sins. I'll put it like that. We need people to be accountable, and de-evolve is a get out of jail free card almost. So yeah, we had the half-term Easter break. Yeah, wasn't too great this year. No big Easter hunt. To my relief, I know the kid missed, she still got a chocolate egg out of it, so she's all right. It was getting a bit silly towards the end, very late nights going to bed, so I'm relieved she's back at school. But the couple of days before going back to school, we went to see the Mario Brothers movie, and that wasn't too bad, I thought it'd be jammed with rhetoric, I do like, the message, but it was like an hour and a half long movie. There's kind of, it was chugging the story along, so there wasn't really any character development, which was a relief, because judging from the trailer, I was a bit apprehensive about what they're going to do with Princess Peach. She already looks a little bit femme fatale, whatever, empowered beyond the stars. And it's a bit of a gray area because obviously magical land, Mushroom Kingdom. I mean, so they got an excuse there where they have artistic license or freedom to be able to do that, and I wouldn't be able to criticize it. But luckily, she wasn't actually too bad, and that's because the story was just progressing, like at a steady pace. But there was a funny moment in there. Well, so my favorite character, I think, if you watch the movie, they go to like the Donkey Kong Kingdom, and they knock on the gate of the palace or what of the realm. You know, we need your help. Let us in. We want to speak to the Donkey King. And the doors open. And at first, I thought, is this meant to be Donkey Kong? Because he doesn't quite look like this kind of bleach blonde. What is it? A gorilla, ape, or whatever. Opens the door. Like, what do you want? Kind of thing. You know, please let us in. We want to ask for assistance. And that kind of cues in the kind of Mario Kart scene where it's like, all right, let's go. We'll go see the king. So they kind of come with me, and it's like, okay, well, and his go-kart comes along, and it's like, what's going on? It's like, you know, get in. We're going for a ride, and off they go. That was the best bit. I quite enjoyed the Mario Kart bit, and that gorilla ape, whoever, he was kind of cool. he was like a Chad, but it's kind of funny. Now that the biggest so I'll say two more points about it, and then we'll move on. So there's a scene where Bowser, he was probably the worst character. You know, he's the biggest character. He's the antagonist, but he was such a letdown. He was probably the worst element of the entire movie because he was such a pussified cuck. Like, from wanting, I will destroy the kingdom and I will take over the world, to, oh, spoiler alerts if you haven't noticed, by the way. So from wanting to megalomaniac take over the universe or whatever and destroy those infidels who oppose him, to, but I want to marry Princess Peach. It's like, what? Yeah, because he gets hold of the star, you know, the invincible star. He gets hold of a star, so it's like, with this star, I can take over the world or whatever. And his army of troopers are like, yes, master, we're going to rule. And he's like, but no, I'm going to give it to my love, my princess. It's like, what? You know, and if she doesn't say yes, then I'll destroy the kingdom. And it's like, oh man. So he has this kind of soppy moment where he's like, he's letting his heart, you know, speak out. And he's playing, you know, I'm pretty sure he's wearing a tux. He's all dressed snaz. And it's a little montage moment. So he's on the piano, serenading, like, and he's singing. And I started cracking up laughing. So apologies. The only way I can describe this is by reenacting it. If there's a clip on YouTube, watch that instead. I don't know, type in like Bowser playing piano or something. But you know, his lyrics are terrible. After, like, very soon he starts just going, peaches, 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 and it starts to transition. It starts to sound like this. It starts going like, peaches, 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 bitches, 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 bitches. And I was just like, damn, man. No. So yeah, that was, for me anyway, adult humor, I guess. Hilarious. And then the saving grace was this nihilistic, I don't know what character this is in the game franchise. It looked like a blue flame that was imprisoned. But so he's got a dungeon, he's captured some people and torturing them, and you know, all the other prisoners are like, oh, we're going to die, and oh, my life, and you know, all doom and gloom. And you've got this blue flame character thing locked up as well. And it's got this kind of cutesy, like, you can dream and everything will be wonderful. It's sort of this nihilistic, happy kind of, oh, don't be, don't worry. Pain only reminds us of what we have to live for. I don't know, something, whatever. But that kind of, but the thing is, to have that in a kids movie as well is a little bit surreal. But I enjoyed it. So that was the Mario Brothers movie that we had. We get back to school. All immediately the teachers are going to go on strike. It's like you've only been back a week and you're on strike again, and I'm annoyed because the days. Well, I don't think it's. Hold on, let me have a sip of my coffee. That's singing. Whew, I'll have an LP out, ready for Christmas. But these after school clubs, they're not exactly very cheap. They're pretty pricey, especially when you realize that the first week back they don't start the clubs immediately. They start it the following week, and then the last week before the end of term, there's no clubs either. So minus 1 week at the beginning and at the end of the term. So you've already got the middle portion of these clubs, and they're having these strikes. So I paid money for my kid to go to a club that she's not going to go to anymore because they're striking on that day she has the club on, and you don't get a refund. They don't make any calculations, and they should be able to calculate this in advance. So I'm a bit annoyed about that, but c'est la vie, I guess. Not much you can do about it. And then the biggest headache of the year usually is around this time when, see, at the start of the year, I've got my tax return and I've got my TV license. In the following month, I usually have my MOT, and then the month after that, usually the car insurance. So usually the first third of a year is my most kind of stressful. Oh, I got the water bill in that's beginning of March, is it, or mid March? So the heavier chunk of my expenses, put it that way, are usually around the up until now, and the car insurance tends to be the biggest bill ticket for the year. So after that, I generally can relax until more like Christmas time or my kid's birthday. So this year's car insurance, I was fuming. I've been loyal with the company I've been with for many, 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 many years, and every year they always try and buff it up, like they increase the premium. And so every year I've got into a habit of haggling the price down with them, and always been successful, or at least been happy with the price that we negotiate. Well, this year, so remembering, actually, let me take it. So remembering what it was last year, I was pretty relieved because I remember saying to myself that this is less than £1 a day, like, because how many days are in a year? 365. So my premium was something like 350. So I was like, hey, I'm paying less than £1 a day. That's pretty good. And I expect it to go down each year. Now, obviously, we've got the hyperinflation malarkey going on. But regardless, and this is a point where if you're adamant about something, you tend to get what you want. If you want it bad enough, you'll get it. Just like when my power steering module failed, there was going to be no excuse for it not to be working again. I didn't care. I would move the earth and the stars or whatever to get that job done, and by hook or by crook or whatever. got it done. So there was going to be no way I was going to accept paying an increase in my premium, especially when you consider things like we're supposed to be living in a safer society. Roads are being closed left, right, and center. Cars are supposed to be safer. Speed limits have been reduced. My mileage has been dropping. I'm now over. Well, I don't want to give my age away, but I'm over a kind of milestone in age. So I thought, that probably should, in theory, count towards something. But knowing, like, I know that they're going to try and be cheeky and put it up still. When I got the notification for renewal, they inflated it by like 60%. It was over like 500. I think it was £558. Like, bloody hell! You're taking the piss here, And I haven't, I've been in no accidents, no infractions, no penalties, no blemish on my record or anything. And I'm going to be essentially penalised, like over £200 for doing nothing. So I was absolutely livid. And I was like, right, I'm going to have to phone them, and they're going to have to, obviously they're going to try and make it sound like they've done me a miraculous sort of, we've managed to lower your premium by £200. Aren't we wonderful? I'm like, you're damn right you're going to lower it, But when I phoned, it was a terrible connection on the phone call. They were only going to reduce it by like 100. I'm still like, well, that's still 100 more than I paid for last year. I'm not happy. I'm not having it. Just not having it. Like, have you shopped around and found a cheaper quote? And I said, indeed I have. I have found something cheaper than last year. And here you are trying to increase it by 200 quid plus. She starts trying to give me this, but we've had to increase it because of cancellations and repairs. And I'm like, what cancellation? What repairs? You're telling me I'm paying for someone else's repairs? But when you pay the extra because, would you like to hear about our service? Trying to sell me the service that they provide. I was like, I don't care. I don't want to hear that. Like what I was saying earlier about this, I don't care. Like these knick-knack paddywhack points of contention, but bottom line is irrelevant. All I want insurance. I don't care what kind of package you're trying to sell me. I want insurance, and I want it less than what I paid for it last year. I've been with this company for God knows how long, and this is the kind of crap you want to pull on me. So I made a demand. And I said, look, either you price match, or I'll go. Simple as that. Oh, hold on, sir. Let me check some details. And I'm like, in the end, I was like, I want to speak to your manager. Manager's busy. Oh, look, I've tried I tried applying every discount I can, and this is the lowest we can get it. I'm like, that's not good enough. How is it you've got competing companies that can offer me a cheaper premium than last year, and here you are saying that you can't lower it? Well, so this is the lesson to them is, you try and swindle me. Not only have you lost me as a customer for all these years, you wanted to get an extra 200 quid out of me. Well, now you're gonna miss out on 550 quid because I'm taking my money elsewhere. And that's basically the end of that. And they're trying to apologize to me and like, oh, sorry. And I'm like, look, I didn't particularly want to have to switch company. I wanted to stay with you as a customer, but you're pricing me out here. Like, why is it I'm trying to bend over, stay on the line, trying to negotiate with you, saying like, basically passively aggressive, like saying like, I'm gonna go if you're not careful. Like, there's no way I'm paying more when I haven't done anything. But they were firm, and I was like, well, bollocks to that, then I'm out. So it kind of made sense. Now I know why she was saying about the cancellations. I'm guessing maybe this is what's happening is more and more people are canceling their insurance, and so the people who are remaining are having to burden the load. But why am I being punished for someone else canceling? And all that's happened now, it's backfired. Remember that word backfire? You hear me say now and again. So this is what happens when people want too much. They're greedy. You know, I mean, how is it a cost of living crisis when I'm the one forking out, bailing them out of a crisis? You know, I don't see how they got no room to complain. So they've done it to themselves. So that company, I'm not saying it because of my absence now that they're gonna collapse, but if the sort of pattern, you know, if other people are abandoning because this company trying to fleece every single customer, then I won't be surprised, and it'll be their own fault. You know, instead of trying to like rip your customers off and destroy the car industry as a market. You know, if there's no cars, there's no car insurance. Like, so if they were to help me by cooperating, basically, yes, they might take a bit of a loss in the sense of not receiving as much revenue, but this is long-term economics. You know, you'll have a returning customer, and that is more valuable than basically trying to rip them off in the instance. But as it goes, now they've lost out the money they were hoping to steal from me. They've lost me as a customer, and that money is going to their competitor. So that's how the cookie crumbles. And that's a lesson that if you're adamant. So I was like this. I don't see why that I had to feel like I had to really negotiate. The power is in it's my effing money, you know. And I'm going to take it elsewhere. Like, you don't have power over me to tell me what to dictate your prices to me in such a way. Like, be reasonable here. And this kind of bullying or trying to slip one by you as if, oh, but we provide such an excellent service. It's like, damn right, you better provide an excellent service, just like every other company, insurance company should be providing their services. Otherwise, what's the point of paying the insurance company? You know, that should be a minimum. And then to give me bogus excuses and say things like, oh, we've applied every discount possible, when I know that's a load of baloney as well, because every year I've phoned and there have been occasions when, um, depending how you say, they might say, oh, hold on, sir, let me just check. Oh, yes, I can apply another discount for you, sir. You know, and it's like, oh, really? Kind of like magic almost. Who'd have funked it? So I know that there are strings that could be pulled, but they just didn't want to do it. So cut your nose to spite your own face sort of mentality, and so screw them. And now I've got insurance that was cheaper than last year in the face of inflation. So I'm pretty pleased about that. But as karma would have it, it happened today. I was driving around and I had messed around cleaning the. All right, this might sound a bit technical for those who aren't mechanics or whatever. I was cleaning the mass airflow sensor. I thought, oh, this is wonderful. It's going to give me an extra horsepower. I'm driving around today and the engine was cutting out as I was coming to a stop. You know, like the speedometer would be reading maybe 10 miles an hour and the engine stalls out on me. And I'm like, no. And it kept happening you're in a city, you're like, go, stop, start, go, start, go. It's a constant, every bloody minute, not even a minute, every like 30 seconds, I'm having to start the engine and be like, come on, baby, get us home. So I think I might have done something in terms of starving the engine of air. I think I might have not bolted the mass airflow sensor properly back in. I haven't bolted it back in properly. So I've created a vacuum leak. I'm hoping that's the case. If not, I might have to clean the throttle body or something. Something is starving the engine out at low RPMs. And my guess is air, unless it's a fuel. I don't see why it'd be the fuel, but so that's what I'll be doing tomorrow, a little bit of investigation. And yeah, there's not now I'm going to sound like a woe is me. Like, there's been a few other sort of problems, but they're not problems in the sense of like, oh, please, everybody, feel sorry for me. No, these are like, good. I like problems. I like fixing problems. So in the background, but I've been messing around with my printer quite a bit recently. Some of the filaments they've been a bit they've been sitting around for a bit too long, so they've become a bit brittle, and it's given me a bit of a headache. But that's now seems to be rectified, and at some point, I've already got from a while back. Like, this is like, here's a life tip or a life lesson that I've developed over the years. Is like, when you get something, get all the consumables that are, especially when it comes to 3D printing. So if you buy a printer, for example, especially the kind that is a DIY, you build it yourself. That's what I've got. You buy spare parts. So essentially, I've got enough spare parts to build another printer. I'm not far off it. You know, you got a spare hot end, you got spare thermistors, spare PTFT tubing, spare motors, spare cabling, spare nozzles, spare throats, spare heat cartridges, the works, spare gears, spare bearings, spare everything. Because these components wear out. Same with the car. Like, you know, you go through the part list, you work out, you have an idea of how much parts are costing, and why. Like, when you buy an oil filter, you don't just buy one oil filter, you buy maybe 2 or 3, you know, because then you won't have that problem ever in the future of having to order one again. So basically what I'm trying to say is that I've got spare part / upgrades for my printer that I've never got around to actually bothering with, and I think, you know, at some point I'll mess around with doing that. It's no biggie. It's just basically get on with it. So it seems like unexpected maintenance, just general upkeep, which I'm not. I know I sound like I'm complaining. I'm just saying, you know, it keeps me busy or whatever. It just reminds me, oh, there is a world and there is a life, and you do need to get on with things, and don't neglect, don't forget, you know, check your diary, check your to-do list, get yourself organized. Stop twiddling your thumb with your, you know, pull your finger out. No time to lose. And another reason why when drama, for instance, comes along, it's very easy for me to be like, to squint at the screen and be like, what the hell is this all about? You know, like, this is bafooey. You know, this is tiddlywinks. What the hell? Like, what's this got to do with anyone? Like, why is everyone getting so bent out of shape over things that don't really affect them? It's like, don't want to sound mean, but it's like, haven't you got something else to do? Like, because I forgot about it, and it's like, oh, society comes along and has a way of kicking you in the backside and be like, remember me, jackass? And you're like, oh yeah, I remember you. Damn, Is it that time of year? Oh crap. So if I'm not careful, I have to remind myself, like consciously remind myself, hey, summer is around the corner and I want to have a good summer this year. Now I want to get this stuff done so that I can kind of, kick back and enjoy the sunset a little bit. And I'm actually looking forward to doing some of the to-do list, like fixing up the car, because I'll be in the sun. I'll be outdoors fixing up the car. Wouldn't that be nice instead of the English rain and cold and misery? With the dog crap that is on my driveway, still to this day, it's kind of gross. It's slowly biodegrading in front of my very eyes, and I don't know. I should just get a hose and just wash it away, but oh well. Oh well. These things have a way of, isn't it easy how we can neglect? What happens? Why do we? Okay, so human nature. Why do we neglect things? Because we become used to it, and we're just like, sod it. We become too comfortable with our filthy environment, until we become desensitized to it as well. And I remember talking about being desensitized before. Might be worth reiterating because I think it was quite a long time ago. For instance, hold on a second. Just gobbling my pills. And this is in part, so we could tie this in with our interactions on a communal social level, and why we tolerate and put up and don't even notice that. Well, we don't notice without a conscious effort to notice. We can easily slip into this. Is it like a malaise? We can slip into this kind of complacency, and let our emotions just carry us away. So we become dreamers in a sense, and we need to snap out of it so that we can take control of what's going on and to pull the reins back in. But we become desensitized, where like you don't notice. You notice you put your clothes on, but once your clothes are on you don't really feel your clothes. In the same way, like you don't feel there's plenty of examples, but I can't quite think of them, pertinent ones that are good to describe. Like, let's say you banged your elbow and it's a bit sore, but you get kind of used to that pain because you've had some time to adjust. The human body is very good at adjusting to things, and so you don't really notice. What you notice more are the changes. So you don't notice the temperature of the room per se, but you notice when it starts to get colder or starts to get hotter. Then you realize, oh, I feel a bit cold now. So we have this kind of, what is it, homeostasis, sort of normalcy, and that normalcy bias element. And this is why it is important when having debates or feuds or back and forths with people, like ongoing especially if it's a duration, to be like, hang on, why is it no progress is being made here? Maybe someone has to not necessarily like lose or give up, but to disengage. Like, no one is making any ground. This is pointless now. We're just going around in circles, and both sides are becoming numb to what is taking place. You might even wonder, like, how on earth did we even get into this situation in the first place? And you have to kind of remind yourself just how the chain of events that transpired. So it's something just to be a bit mindful of and to be a bit cautious about. It's a bad habit in of itself, but it can also become very predatorial if you're not careful, depending on who you're interacting with, because the predator thrives in that sort of in you becoming numb to the situation, where your consciousness is shutting down, and now you're like a zombie. You're doing it on, you're engaging automatically, autopilot, because you've been desensitized and conditioned to be like, all right, it's that time of day, right? Get ready, go to battle. Right, we've done this for the past 5 weeks. I'm used to it now. I don't even need to think about what I'm doing. I just need to go into war. Off we go. And the predator takes advantage of that kind of conditioning, because you're asleep at the wheel, really. Even though you might like to think you're not. But if you're going backwards and forwards for months on end, especially, come on, you're asleep at the wheel. What are you doing? Like, why are you doing it? What, to prove a point? To prove a point for the 20,000th time? That's not resonating with the other person. Why is it you're continuing? Like you should have got the message that they ain't receptive to what you have to say. It's time for you. You made your point. Time for you to leave, but you're not. So, other factors. Maybe this is your emotional validation, your sense of justice that is keeping you there, or something like that. But these variables contribute, and ultimately means, yet again, it is that much more important and to your sense, to your higher awareness of realization, to be like, whoa, I need to take control, not of this situation or this other person, but really more of myself. Because why am I participating in something that is proving to be a waste of time, that is not benefiting anyone, neither them or me, and is becoming a distraction? And with this, hopefully, with what I'm trying to explain here, if you realize that you're increasingly becoming putting yourself in a vulnerable position, because you're not necessarily demonstrated, but because your self-control is somewhat absent. Now, if you're not controlling yourself or your mind, someone else will. That's why it's so tantalizing for these situations, drama especially. This is where you'll find the harpies, the vultures are circling, seeing who among this crowd of dramatic people, who can we tap into, who is exposing, or who is in jeopardy, that we can trigger perhaps, or stir the pot of emotions, or whatever, or whisper something in their ear. And so from being a complacent, numb, desensitized, normalized situation, somewhat still innocent, because like it's by accident this happens, to now a perilous, a devastating, corrupt, exploitative situation. It can become even more volatile. People's buttons start getting pressed. People start they become their distorted thinking. They stop seeing one another as people, and instead they see images. They see representations. It's like, I don't disagree with you as a person. I just hate you because you represent the things I don't like. And it's like, whoa. So this is kind of like some spirituality thing going on now, where it's like, so who are you arguing with? Are you even arguing with a person, or are you arguing with your own inner demons? And I'm just a mirror or a reflection or a reminder of to you of that. Are you trying to destroy me because there's a part of you that you don't like about yourself? So I'm a sacrificial placeholder in your eyes. I'm not even a real person. I'm just an avatar, you know. And that's where um, that's how intoxicating emotions can become, where they take such a strong element. I don't know, lack for a better word, like an element. They take such a precedence that, you know, you couple that with distorted thinking, delusional thinking. They pretty much are seeing the devil in front of them. It might as well be, you know. And so it's not so hard to see why people might say at times that who they're dealing with is, air quotes, evil personified, or they are the Dark Lord or whatever, because maybe in their mind, in their truth, it is true. It becomes a weird situation, as weirdly as I'm trying to describe it, and that's again. So bottom line, even more reason, another reminder why disengage, get out of there, no contact if need be, whatever, or even just get some space, just so that people can come to their senses, have a bit of clarity, because things are getting carried away, out of hand, hyperbolic or whatever, blown out of proportion. You see that quite a bit, where you'll have the premise of the argument, and then the conversation or the situation starts to go off in tangents. And it's like, oh yeah, you remember this and so, and going back 20 years and this and that. It's like, whoa, where's all this other, like the skeletons out of the closets are coming. Like, I thought we're talking about what's for dinner tonight. You know? Oh yeah, you never did like my mother, did you? It's like, what the hell did that come from? Yeah. And then we have, we have to do now magical, you know, gymnastic thinking, like magical thinking, leaps and bounds to make a connection. Well, the reason why I mentioned you hate my mother is because of that time on Christmas Eve 2001, when it's like, what the hell, when we were in Africa. What, you know, you remember we were crossing the road and somehow that connects to you hate my mom, and that night you asked me what's for dinner, and that's why I said it. It's like, what the hell? So you don't want the chicken tonight then? All right, we'll get takeaway. Fine. Happy now? You know, and no, the answer will be never satisfied, because because you see that the premise was never really the focus. That was just the DVD cover. You know, the contents, the verbal diarrhea vomit. That is what was really, this was all about. You know, and that's why when you try and have any conversations with them, you're so confused, because you're like, I thought we came here to discuss what's for dinner tonight, and now we're talking about our holiday when we were in Africa back in 2001. What's that got to do with dinner tonight? You know, no wonder like your head is being torn apart, or you know, you're scratching your skull wondering what the hell's going on. You can't make heads or tails of things, because you're trying to be logical. Silly. Did you know logic went out the window long ago? You know. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, anyway, I feel like I've touched base. It's kind of late here, so I suppose I should get going, really. I'm just looking at the comments. It's nice to see. There's no, I don't see any. The master of the 5-finger pimp hand technique. In a way, yeah. And the thing is, they make you believe that there is a finishing. There is, like, if you do this or if you heed to my demands, then I'll be satisfied. All will be well. But with moving goalposts, and the insatiable, addictive, or appetite, the ante will forever increase. This is part of the characteristics of some of these disorders. No bounds, no limitations. So there can never be a state of satisfaction, unfortunately, as much as they try to proclaim. Look at the demands that the so-called progressive are trying to make. We just want equal this, or we want the laws, certain laws, to be changed in such a way. It's like, okay, all right, we'll do that. All right, we'll kowtow. All right, happy now? No, now there's something else. Oh, okay. Oh, now we want to save the planet. Okay, so right, so you want us to recycle our food, recycle our plastics? Is that okay? For now, but no, now we want you to, like, reduce your carbon footprint. Okay, all right, fine. I'll stop setting fire to. I'll stop having a barbecue. Happy? It's like, no, now we want you to stop eating meat. It's like, what? Well, now we want you to do. It's like, so when it the never-ending story. It's, and at some point, well, perhaps that's a conversation for another time. Like the toxic relationship. So that's the macro sort of scale of things. You look at the micro scale in terms of relational dynamics, where you've got an abuser, or someone not necessarily. Well, I suppose they are, or toxic, let's say. And the other person isn't they're just toxic as most likely as well, just in a different way. Basically what I'm saying, like the giver and the taker kind of. You got someone who's always taking, they're never satisfied, always taking, and you've got a giver, they're always giving. At some point, that giver will have to, say no, or run away, or they have a mental breakdown of their own, or they become dysfunctional or whatever, because they just can't keep up with the demand. And this is what's happening on the societal level. This is why people, in a way, are waking up, because they can't take any more. They've given, and they kept on giving. You give them an inch to take a mile, and it's not sustainable. So this is why when we talk about people as sources of supply, particularly for like narcissists, there is no perfect supply for an art. Every or borderline, because you are human at the end of the day. You can't tend to their needs 24 hours 24/7 every day of the year and not expect to incur some kind of damage. So at some point, you might be able to do a good job as a primary source of supply, Captain Save-A-Ho or whatever, doing going above and beyond, and you might have the energy to do it and the resources and all the rest of it. But given enough time, you will be depleted. Make no mistake. And it won't end with just your life. It will go beyond that. Funny little story I'll quickly throw in here. I don't know why it popped into my head. I was at the supermarket. This is quite funny. It's not really, but I don't know. It made me chuckle. And I'm at the checkout. This older guy joins in behind me, and he's kind of disheveled, like he's a little bit hunched over. He's a lot older. He's like, I'm not trying to shame him. I'm just saying that this is a guy who is elderly and like things are breaking down. Like I mean this in a respectful way. And he decides he wants to sort of start. We were in the queue for a long time, and he says something. So I turn around like over my shoulder and I say, "Oh yeah, look, we're finally moving, mate. Don't worry, we'll make it in the end," kind of thing. And he puts this bottle of wine on the conveyor belt, and it's standing upright. And he says, "Should I leave this standing, or should I lay it down?" And I said, "Well, it'll probably be all right, but better safe than sorry. Maybe lay it down." So he kind of lays it down. He said, "Well, I don't really normally drink, but tonight." And I said, "Oh," I said, "Well, I laid mine down." Now the thing is, I didn't have a bottle of wine, right? But I had a bottle of something. So I said, like, "I've laid my bottle down." He starts telling me that he has a date tonight, and I thought, "Ooh la la, go you, eh?" And he goes, "Yeah, so I don't normally drink. I'm hoping she'll like it." And he says, "I think she's after my money, but I don't really have much money." I'm like, "Okay, mate, go get him, Tiger." And he pulls out 2 wine glasses. It's like, "These are 50p each." And I'm like, wow, breaking the bank here. But it's nice to see you making an effort. Very good, sir. And we're just sort of cracking a laugh. And he goes, "Do you think that's a good bottle of wine?" I'm like, "Well, it looks like a red bottle of wine, and I'm pretty partial to red wine. I quite like it. So I think you'll be all right. And it's better than, you got glasses. It's better than having like a bowl of soup or something, like a mug." And he asked, "What do you have?" And I was like, "A bottle of soy sauce, mate." Like, "Oh no, I don't think I can give a soy sauce." I was like, "Wow, you could try." But I thought it was humorous that a gentleman of his age, his caliber, getting it on, and has the semi-awareness of, like, she's after my money kind of thing, but also the I don't know, like the tradition, like an etiquette or whatever. Maybe he's being a bit simpish, but I don't know. It's not. It was nice to see, like although it might be okay, you're in a supermarket for a bottle of wine, you're getting some wine glasses, and who knows what else. There's an element of what, like class, I don't know, decor or something. I don't know. So if that gentleman is watching tonight, of course he isn't. He's slaying it. We salute you, sir. I just thought it was humorous, very funny. But yeah, so I'll leave that there. And thank you for stopping by for this banter, entertaining me as much as I'm entertaining you. Hopefully, we're in this together, and let's all escape now. Until next time, everybody, take care. Thank you for watching, and peace out.